Morning and welcome to the annual 5th NetSuite Day. My name is Mira Hilanne. I'm the Global Partner Manager at Staria. And this year we decided to organize the event as an online event because of the current COVID situation. It's been a pleasure to see that the event attracted so much interest in a global scale. We have over 300 registrations from current NetSuite customers, prospects, and partners. First, I would like to introduce Juha Tomila, CEO of Staria. Juha, could you please tell a bit about Staria?
Good morning also from my part. Thank you for joining us to our 5th annual NetSuite Day. We are proud of each of our 100 NetSuite customers. As you know, in Europe, each country has different local compliance issues. Staria has specialized in international NetSuite implementations, and we love to share the local compliance expertise with you. Currently, we are serving customers NetSuite-wise in over 40 countries in all continents. Staria, as a company, has the largest number of certified NetSuite consultants. That has brought us several awards to the team. To name one, last year we were appointed to EMEA Solution Partner of the Year. Today's businesses are born global. If you are considering implementing NetSuite into different countries, maybe we should talk. We would love to help and make your implementation secure and successful for you. Enjoy the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Juha. Now it's time to check the agenda for the day. So we have inspiring keynotes from Oracle NetSuite, and we will hear about the new features of NetSuite and about unlocking growth as well. We're also going to hear about the inspiring customer story from Trimtex, and we will briefly hear about Staria's global accounting services, SuiteApps, and other supporting systems. Our first keynote is held by James Chisholm, who is a Senior Director of International Products in Oracle NetSuite. James is responsible for NetSuite product development in EMEA. But unfortunately, James couldn't join the live event, but he was kind to send us his keynote. We will hear what's new in NetSuite and get a sneak peek for NetSuite 2020.2 new features. So let's start off with our first keynote of the day.
Welcome everybody, and thanks for joining me for this Oracle NetSuite What's New and Next session. My name is James Chisholm and I'm Senior Director of International Product Management. I'd just like to take a couple of moments to thank Staria for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today, and also to everybody on the call for taking time out of your busy diaries to hear about some of the things that we're doing in international product management. I'd just like to draw your attention to our safe harbor statement. So please don't make any buying decisions based on anything that you see here today. And I'll also be making some forward-looking statements and talking about some of our future plans and strategies. So again, please be wary of that under our safe harbor statement. I just wanted to start to give you an idea of our mindset and our strategy of thinking around the development of the NetSuite product. And certainly as I look after international teams, what we look at really is acting global and being local. And what we mean by that is really delivering a rich set of global features, allowing your business to grow and expand as you grow, and then also delivering those local features to give users, teams, the experience that NetSuite was designed for them, but also meets local statutory and compliance needs. So this is really what we do, our mission statement in product. And today I'll be going through a few things, talking a little bit about our strategy, looking forward and some of the things that are driving the developments that we make, and also talking a little bit about our 2020.2 release, the most recent release of NetSuite, and some of the exciting new features that you can expect. So I wanted to start briefly and talk a little bit about our global financial strategy and industry trends. I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail here, but some of this will resonate with you given the current environment that we're all working in. And this is really guides us in some of the things that we do. So ultimately, what we're seeing in a lot of our customers and a lot of finance teams and departments is that CFOs are striving to be a strategic business partner. And really what we want to do and what they want to do is have a strong drive towards automation, streamlining transaction level processes, potentially using new technologies such as blockchain, but certainly looking at things like machine learning, robotic process automation, and artificial intelligence. So really looking at these to drive business outcomes at a much faster rate with a higher quality, moving finance teams away from recorders of transactions to deliverer of insights. The other thing that's very important, and I've just said this with our mission statement in International Product, is that global expansion is extremely important and something that a lot of businesses are looking to do. And so indeed, what really are the core tenets for ERP is kind of that effortless support of compliance and ensuring accurate reporting at country and local levels, and having that baked into your ERP system. That means if you move into a new jurisdiction or country, you're safe in the knowledge that NetSuite will be the platform that can support you and ensure that you remain compliant in any market that you wish to move to. And then finally, the other thing that we've been thinking a lot about, and we'll see some more of this coming within NetSuite, is a continued focus on financial planning and analysis. This is super crucial right now to ensure that the business are managed well, and we understand how the business is performing, and we can make planning decisions moving forward. Wrapping into that some financial close solutions, particularly as part of core financials, and we'll see some updates in NetSuite from those aspects, ultimately driving towards a bit more of a corporate performance management capability, which again, we'll look to embed in core NetSuite as we move forward. Ultimately, part of those trends and what our analysts are telling us is really looking at continuous accounting, and really the end of the notion of record to report in its previous fashion. So if we look at some of the pillars here, modern cloud GL, real-time or almost near real-time processing, no batch processing, very much data rich, continuous global consolidation, multi-currency, multi-company, auto elimination and consolidation, so that at global be local. And that moves into immediate globalization, being able to internationalize, localize, and deliver that statutory reporting under that umbrella of GRC, etc., that I've mentioned. Extremely important. And certainly in the area of continuous global consolidation, you'll see some features that we're delivering around reimagining our intercompany capabilities and our new intercompany framework, which you'll find that is going to help a lot of our customers. And then finally, on the right-hand side, there is actionable intelligence. We've seen some of the trend towards automation, and we've mentioned AI, machine learning. The important thing for us here at NetSuite is to make sure that use of those technologies is personalized, contextualized, and drives that automated processing that companies are looking for. So, under the broad headings there, we want to be agile, we want to be collaborative, and constant governance is important. And I can't stress the importance of that in terms of the work that my teams do. We have to ensure that, we maintain our levels of governance and compliance. And for us, that's job number one. And how are we doing all of these things? So what you'll see, and over the course of the last few releases of NetSuite, we've been very much growing our technology. And we've been doing that in three areas: from UX, or what we call user experience, analytics, and platform. So if we take each of these from a user experience perspective, we really want to enable users to do their jobs quickly, easily, and enjoyably. Anybody who works with any type of software will understand that if you enjoy using that application, then you're going to get greater rates of adoption, you're going to get greater rates of efficiency. So we're looking at ways in which we're refactoring our whole user interface, making that consumerized with intuitive navigation, redesigning interactions, easy to use tables and grids, and really building on the theme that we've had for a long time is role optimization, looking at work centers, work lists, to form a real personalization, which ultimately takes that to using NetSuite really efficiently and at a consumer grade on laptops and tablets and other mobile devices. In the center there is analytics. Some of you may have seen our fairly recent release of Suite Analytics. If you haven't seen that, I'd urge you to take advantage of that. Suite Analytics is our new reporting capability in the heart of NetSuite. Really, something that will resonate with accountants and finance people, in as much as that we can now have a pivot table capability within core NetSuite itself to build quite complex reports and advanced tools to enable you to build multi-level joins, set operators, working with large data sets in an easy, understandable fashion without having to get into complex coding or anything else to make that powerful for you. So very much about visual data discovery, so being able to see trend graphs, KPIs, etc., driven off our analytics engine, which will take us through to providing things like predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, etc. And then finally, the platform, and this can't be underestimated. As you will know, NetSuite upgrades twice a year, where we introduce new features, maintenance fixes, and updates. And all of our customers are on the same line of code. But what our platform enables you to do is make changes and configurations that help you and your business. And that will ensure that you can still upgrade twice a year seamlessly. So underneath the covers, if you will, we're moving to a new generation of infrastructure, a new generation of JavaScript, moving to fully RESTful APIs, and introducing things like custom transactions, the ability to build your own transaction types. And we've recently updated our custom transaction capability again within NetSuite, which we think will be a huge benefit to many organizations. So our technology remains important to us, as well as underpinning that with things like OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So using the very latest technology that Oracle's biggest customers use, those technologies and that infrastructure will be available to NetSuite customers also. And ultimately, going full circle with all of these things, intelligence delivered day one on any device, anywhere. Right now, in periods of change, lots of global challenges, things happening at a fast pace. Intelligence and getting information out of the system will be hugely important, will be critical for moving forward to support growth, etc. So this is where we're getting to. So, automating processes, moving away from transaction-heavy systems to really start deliver value, from the integrated suite. So that's where we're looking, and that's what's driving some of our strategy. What's also becoming extremely important to us, and again, working with organizations such as Staria, our good friends and close colleagues, is that we have an extensive partner ecosystem which helps us drive additional growth. We have a rich and wide suite that covers many areas, but we don't do everything. There's going to be some things within specific micro verticals that NetSuite won't move into, that won't deliver out of the core product. But with our applications marketplace, which you can draw similarities to other vendors in other areas. We want people to be able to go to our marketplace, work with our partner ecosystem to bring in, point solutions, extended applications which can help you in your business in whatever area that might be, whether that's shipping or anything else. And so what we'll see in actual fact moving forward is working more closely with a defined set of partners to help drive a best of breed solution for our customers. So this will be an important area for us moving forward. And again, working with organizations like Staria is absolutely critical to that strategy. Okay, so that's part of our thought process, is driving what we do with NetSuite. So now I wanted to talk a little bit about our recent releases and capabilities that we've delivered. Clearly, every release that we do, those biannual releases, lots go into those. I simply don't have time to talk about every single thing that we've done in NetSuite. So I'd urge you, if you haven't, to look at sneak peeks, look at Suite Answers, look at other resources available to you, and indeed speak to Staria, who can help you with some of the new features that have been delivered. So what I'm going to do is to pick out a few of the highlights for you today, and some of the things that we think are quite exciting in the new release. Right now, more than ever, cash and cash management is extremely important to organizations. Cash is the lifeblood of pretty much every organization. So part of the work that we've been doing now for a few releases, probably starting back probably as early as our 17.2 release, we've been working on our cash management capabilities, and a big part of that is banking integration and intelligent bank reconciliation. So we've put a lot of effort into this area, and we've got some exciting updates coming for 20.2. We're now at the point where we can start to analyze bank statements and actionable steps on an enhanced dashboard portlet. We're now able to connect easily and simply to financial institutions in EMEA, and certainly coming beyond with our new bank feed SuiteApp. I'm particularly excited about this one, and I'll touch on this in a moment in more detail. Ultimately, it's going to give us automatic nightly bank statement imports without any manual actions. Along the way, we can automate bank data matching with our new intelligent rules engine. We can improve matching over time by creating and updating matching rules. And we can review and exclude bank data from match bank data to reduce clutter in that process. So again, if I refer back to the top of the presentation, it's about automation of processes, making things simpler and easier, reducing the time to do some of these processes. So what I'm able to talk about today, which is very exciting, is a new capability that we're launching in EMEA, is bank feed integration for businesses outside of the US and Canada. In the 20.1 release, we provided a new direct connectivity for our North American customers, and I'm very, very pleased to announce today that this will be coming for our EMEA customers. So what does it do? Well, with this integration, all of our international customers can now connect to their bank to get real-time banking information seamlessly. So it will be a direct connectivity through to your financial institution, covering some 2,000 or so institutions across Europe. So why is it exciting? So it's going to decrease tedious and manual tasks at the close. It provides opportunities for controllers and accountants to analyze results and better understand what's going on in the business. So in a very simple fashion, we'll be able to have the capability that you select your financial institution. Within a few clicks, you'll now have a direct feed to your bank, and we will automatically pull transactions into NetSuite for you and roll those straight into the reconciliation process. So we've been wanting to do this for some time, and so we're very, very pleased to announce that we're now having that capability within core NetSuite. Additionally, within this release, we've added the ability to auto-create posting transactions from bank imports. So bank imports will now be able to support deposits, credit card charges, bank charges, etc., refund transactions based on defined rules. So basically, again, why this is exciting, it enables exception-based automated bank reconciliation and auto-creation of transactions from bank data. So again, eliminating that time-consuming manual effort and data entry error as NetSuite automates this process for you. So in conjunction with our connectivity, you can see that our capabilities in this area are increasing greatly. Additionally, we'll be able to have expense report credit card integration. So our first effort, this was to bring in American Express corporate cards within the NetSuite expenses module to populate expense lines from credit card charges. So expense reports are one of the most used transactions in NetSuite, particularly for service organizations, and are tedious and error prone. So as we move into better credit card integration, that greatly increases user adoption, reduces data entry errors, and streamlines the expense process. So another exciting capability there. We've also extended some of our capabilities around expense reporting policies. So provides controls on expense reports with policies to warn or disallow creation of expenses by an employee to ensure compliance is met. So again, that GRC piece that I've spoken about. So making sure that we're compliant around expense categorization, per diem maximums, requiring descriptions and attachments to expense reports. So it's going to give you a much tighter control and notifications to align with company policies and client contracts, as an example. So really useful in terms of managing the policy cycle about expense reports. So again, a nice feature that we've dropped in. Also, for any of those of you who work in, projects, service organisations, we also now have project manager notifications. So this provides a project manager with notifications about their project and allows them to take action to resolve any issues. So the 20.2 release will include the following notifications: any missing time that anybody has on a project, time to approve, and also expenses to approve. So as a project manager, we can start to manage by exception and proactively address project issues. So moving on, another exciting update that we have is invoice grouping or invoice consolidation. So this was probably number 1 or number 2 in our most highly requested features within NetSuite. And we're pleased to announce that after a 20.1, doing some early adopter customers, we've now made the feature generally available. So what does it do? So essentially it enables you to easily consolidate multiple invoices into a single group invoice that is delivered to the customer. Payments can be accepted at the group level and are applied to individual invoices. So why is this important? Again, why is this exciting? It reduces manual effort to group invoices that's often tedious, error prone, potentially done outside of NetSuite, and ensure those invoices are delivered to the customer accurately to decrease day sales outstanding and improve cash flow. So, again, I'd urge anyone who's been looking for this type of capability to take a look at this new feature in NetSuite. As I say, very, very highly requested, and we're pleased to deliver this in the 20.2 release. again, as I said at the top of the presentation, one of the things that we've been doing over the course of the last few releases is working on a new intercompany framework to allow better processing of intercompany transactions and charges. So one of the things that we've done in 20.2 is introduce the intercompany cross-charge automation feature. So it enables accounting to what we call true up intercompany accounting of the cross-subsidiary fulfillment workflow by starting a process that automatically posts cross-charge transactions between subsidiaries. So basically, when you have a multi-subsidiary organization and you have those intercompany cross charges, initially in this phase within the fulfillment area, it's going to enable you to really reduce the amount of time that you spend each accounting period with posting, matching, reconciling intercompany transactions. The automation reduces that effort, accelerates the period close process. So you'll have a cross-charge workbench, you'll be able to see a view of each of your subsidiaries and the intercompany transactions that are there, and effectively NetSuite will automate that process for you. So again, another nice new feature. Another thing that certainly in my experience, a lot of our customers have been asking us about is intercompany accounts payable and accounts receivable netting. So basically what this does is will provide you with a grid balance view of intercompany open payable and receivable balances, which will be broken up by subsidiary pairs per each individual currency. And accounting users can then net their mutual balances through a netting statement. The system then will create settlements for selected transactions for both subsidiaries. So again, why this is important, it reduces the number of open intercompany transactions and repeatable manual effort required to manage those open balances. And as a framework, what we'll see over the course of the next 1-2 releases is an extension of this to a more broader AP and AR netting capability, particularly where you might have, an organization who appears as both as a customer and vendor, and you want to do some netting. So again, the first step into providing automation to some of these processes that take organizations quite some time. The other thing that we've been working on, as we see a lot of organizations working towards a shared service center approach or a centralized purchasing and billing capability. So what we have now in 20.2 is our cross-subsidiary receipt capability with centralized purchasing and billing, which allow customers to streamline purchasing by consolidating purchases from across different subsidiaries. And that's the important thing here, is that's across different subsidiaries, and make vendor payments from a central local team or department. So again, all about increasing productivity with the simplification of the workflow, reducing the number of purchase orders across subsidiaries. What we're hoping this will do is facilitate better spend management by combining all requests from several locations to a vendor and AP reconciliation with one single bill. The benefit of this really is suppliers know where and whom to contact, which makes supplier interactions much easier. So, moving very much more to that centralized finance function, which a lot of organizations wish to do. So obviously we've talked a little bit so far about some of the kind of financial, deliverables that we have. Obviously, again, as I've said, there's lots of things that we cover. So if we look at a different aspect now, perhaps a bit more on the products side of business, one of the things that you might have seen or you've heard about is some of the new intelligent features that we have. And so fairly recently, we introduced the concept of our supply chain control tower. So basically, this is intelligence to that workflow for a products company. So this new feature here is about intelligent predicted risks for sales orders and purchase orders. So it will provide users with greater insight into potential risks on goods not shipping on time, because clearly that's going to be important to you. So with NetSuite giving you these predicted risks, companies can achieve better customer retention by identifying potential issues ahead of time and addressing them in a proactive manner. The flip side to that as well is when a purchase order is identified at being risk, the system may also provide alternate vendors based on new machine learning algorithms to provide similar to supply to meet the manufacturing and/or distribution requirements. So again, pulling it back to the main theme of the presentation at the beginning, using actionable intelligence for workflows that are critical for our customers using NetSuite. So again, we're pretty excited about the move into our predictive capabilities in this area. So I've covered a little bit about 20.2, and this is just a really quick highlight of some of the things that we're delivering. We're really excited about some of the things that we're doing, particularly the bank connectivity capability. It's something that customers across Europe have been asking me about for some time. Along with some of the other things in there as well, intercompany, centralized purchasing, etc. Some really key and important updates. And as I say, there's many more. So I'd urge you to talk to Staria. Certainly reach out to me or NetSuite, and we're more than happy to help you. I've covered these things very quickly today. I'm sure there will be some questions, and we're happy to follow up on that. But what I also wanted to do as well, while I have you here, is to talk about next and future, some of the releases that we'll be having coming up, and some of the other things that we're also working on. We're constantly looking ahead, how we can improve, and what else we can deliver. So again, I've spoken about artificial intelligence. We've just spoken about some machine learning that we're delivering. And we're looking at a number of things here, leveraging the power of the Oracle Analytics Cloud, looking at blockchain technologies, looking at robotic process automation. So we're going to see a move, you'll see this more prevalently across the suite as we move forward. So that's very much a theme of what we're doing. And again, drawing it back to some of the things that we've spoken about, a few areas that we'll be working on. Accounting is important. So we're looking at ways in which we can automate complex journal entries, how we calculate and apply allocations, maintaining fixed assets. And also, as we've seen, and the journey that we're on with cash management, performing and documenting reconciliations, not only bank reconciliations, but also GL reconciliations. Moving into accounts payable, processing expense approval requests, completing audits, that's really important, duplicate supplier payments, etc., and performing two or three-way invoice matching automatically. Moving into other areas, automating cash management, as I've spoken about, preparing external reporting templates, etc. And then looking at planning and analysis, building standard management reports, consolidation and validating budget and forecast inputs, and gathering, cleaning data for analysis. So, moving much more into that area and providing some intelligent tools to enable you to do that. And then accounts receivable, really important, looking at things around AR aging, how we can automate and improve that process. We've spoken about some of the things that we're doing with days sales outstanding, DSO, So that's important. And another big thing that we're working on as well is applying cash to outstanding balances. So automating that process as well. So there's a focus on finance automation, and we'll be bringing that in. And this is all under the umbrella of the Intelligent Suite. So as I say, I'm not going to go through this in any detail, and I'm sure we'll make slides available to you. But looking at various elements across the suite, how we can give you intelligent insights. I've spoken a little bit about the supply chain control tower and the predicted risks that we've already delivered through to intelligent automation. So again, automating some of the processes that can be fairly labor intensive, and to make those better and quicker. And also delivering things like exception-based approvals, okay? Setting some complex rules where if there's a transaction that you want to approve within certain thresholds, you only want to deal with it if there is an exception, if there's something unusual about the transaction. So automation there. And then looking at things like intelligent interaction. So natural language interfaces, chat interfaces, dynamic dashboard content based on your usage of NetSuite, personalized search based on searches that you've done previously. So that's really what we think about as the Intelligent Suite. So as I say, everything that we do, we have a view of intelligence. What can we do to make these things easier and simpler for our customers? And so automation is a focus, as I say, efficiency, intelligence, and compliance. So that runs across many things that we do in NetSuite: revenue recognition, lease accounting, whether that's suite billing, NetSuite planning and budgeting, or balancing segments. So we'll see that running through everything that we do. And ultimately, for us, it's about investing in the modern finance function. So the key pillars here for us, again, control and compliance, international expansion is critical, and my team work very hard on localization aspects for the product. Compliance is our number one task. Then shifting to productivity, how can we do these things quicker? And then how can we show those things? How can we reveal that to you as a user? So it's about visibility of the things that we have in the suite and intelligence. So again, running through those things to deliver a really important a piece of capability to you. And running through this, we'll have three key strategic investment areas. It will be about empowering businesses to execute more effectively. We do see businesses growing. And Richard will be talking about some of those growth strategies a little bit later to you. But it's about structuring your enterprise the way you want. It's about doing business anywhere. And as I say, it's about simplification, automating local, global, and performance reporting. We then want to support customers with sophisticated business processes. So as I say, I've spoken a little bit about some of the exciting things that we're doing in cash management. You need to virtualize your business via an intercompany framework, take out some of the complexity. So again, with some of the APAR netting, etc., the new intercompany transaction processing, hopefully that will, aid you as organizations do business in any country, and also ensure that you have corporate performance management. And then, obviously what we want to do is we want to future-proof your system and drive decision-making, future-proof that investment. So again, real-time data, business intelligence, suite analytics, artificial intelligence, and again, looking at things like machine learning, robotic process automation, and considering newer technologies such as blockchain. So that's where we'll be putting most of our time and investment. And then if I just kind of take core financials, because typically that's the lifeblood of what most of our NetSuite users use and work with to a now, next, and future. We have some core themes, the things that we're working on. So of critical importance to our development is our intercompany framework. The The second one, cash management, compliance, general financials, global support, operational support, and analytics, intelligence, and experience. So they're the kind of the developmental themes. So as I say, if we look down the now column, we've spoken a little bit about our new intercompany framework. We've spoken certainly about cash management, a revised bank reconciliation capability, some intelligent matching capabilities, as well as now the new bank connectivity to enable you to seamlessly connect directly to your financial institutions. We've delivered that now within 20.2. I haven't had a chance to talk about it today, but the new evolution of tax reporting in NetSuite, SuiteApps, we'll be more overtly pushing and talking to customers about how they can adopt that new technology, which will ensure that our tech set engine is compliant and compatible and will be right for your business for the next 5-10 years. Also, in there, we haven't spoken about them today, but, lease and revenue accounting enhancements that we've delivered. In the general financials piece, balancing segments, certainly for anybody who works in, non-profit organizations, balancing segments, fund accounting, etc., is hugely important. So NetSuite moving to support that. From a global support perspective, my team have delivered new localizations for France and for Germany, extending out through Singapore, China, India, and many other parts of the globe, and that will continue. Operational support, we've spoken about consolidated invoicing or invoice grouping. And then from an analytics point of view, again, I've touched on Suite Analytics, a new deliverable in the product. We're adding, further enhancements within every release. And again, if you haven't had a look at that, please do. As we look to the next releases, we'll be looking at auto netting and auto settlement within the intercompany framework. In cash management, one of the most important features that we're working on is our auto cash application. So again, being able to bring your cash and bring that in and apply that to payments within the system automatically without human intervention. Looking at extending fixed assets within the core, really rounding out some additional capability. We've added some new features for France in fixed assets, as well as Japan, but moving that more into the core of the products, the heart of the financials ledger as we move forward. Under the general financials umbrella, we've got a big development underway, and we'll be delivering on around period close management, so more effective period close capabilities, through to global support, across currency settlement capability, which obviously is quite important as well with auto cash application. From an operational support perspective, time and expense, additional credit card integration. We've spoken about the initial release of that with American Express. And then again, moving into analytics, Suite Analytics workbook for controllers. And then looking a bit further ahead, even more into the future, a new intercompany workspace and intercompany projects, looking at cash management, looking at a new payment capability. So again, payments automatically from NetSuite in a new reimagined way, all initiated from the core product, which will support many things in terms of lockbox, ACH, and electronic payment methods. Looking at corporate performance management under the compliance heading. General financials, building more on a centralized ARAP capability. Global support, one of the things that we'll be doing is doing some more work around Oracle, connectors. We're adding the Oracle integration cloud into NetSuite with pre-built connectors through to other applications, through to operational support with consolidated payments, pay link on invoice, so issuing invoices with a link that customers can click and make payment through the invoice. And then, really working on in the analytics and intelligence and experience space on a new mobile finance app and new mobile approvals. So, lots of work happening. And of course, I'm, concentrating here on just a small element of the total capability within NetSuite. So as I say, moving into other areas of the platform as well. So, many more new and exciting announcements to come. So that kind of brings me to the end of my session. Again, as usual, there's a lot of information to absorb. And I truly appreciate you spending time with me, listening to some of the things that I've covered today. There will be an opportunity to come back to me with questions. I think we'll be hosting another session, where we can, get a bit more interactive with questions and feedback from our customers, to get feedback on what we're delivering. So, I'm more than happy to, take questions. If customers would like to speak to me about any areas of interest, then I'm happy to do that. I'd urge everybody again to take a look at the 20.2 release. Please reach out to Kai and the Staria team to look at the extended range of features that we're delivering and to see if there's anything else there that you can utilize. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope you found some of this useful. I hope to speak to you all again. And again, enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you very much.
That was inspiring. So there are a lot of new features within the NetSuite 2020.2 version update. We will offer a free webinar in October and the possibility to ask questions from James as well. We will send the webinar invitation to all who registered to NetSuite Day. So now it's time to focus on our customer success story. We are honored to have Asbjørn Sundoren, a CFO of Trimtex, telling their story. You, from the audience, have the possibility to ask questions from all our speakers. Our team will monitor the questions, and we will select some of them to go through after the presentations. So now, let's start off with a short video and get the online connection to Norway.
Being an athlete is a lot of hours of hard work when no one is watching you. All those sessions are part of building you as an athlete, getting you mentally stronger. I'm not sure if I love to win more than I hate to lose. I'm Christian Blomfeldt, and I'm 26 years old, from Bergen. My life is triathlon.
Well, hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be joining this event. It's very exciting to have this opportunity to talk about the Trimtex story and our experiences with NetSuite. We started off with some inspiration from one of our ambassadors, Christian Blumenfeldt. He's a world record holder in the triathlon 70.3 distance, and he is one of the biggest hope for the Norwegian gold medal in the Olympics. Hopefully next year. We never know when it's going to be. Still, may I please have my slide? Yes. Trimtex is a 100% family-owned business. We have now the second generation which own our company, and and everything is managed by that family. So we don't have any big investors. We have only our legacy. So over more than 40 years, we have had a focus on the Nordic market. We are based in Norway. We are close to the Norwegian market, but also our presence within Sweden, Finland, and Denmark has been very strong for many years. Today, we have offices, mainly for sales in Norway, in Sweden, Finland, and Denmark. And also we have a great production facility in Pärnu. We had our own operations and productions in Pärnu since 2008, but our first productions was even early in the 90s within Estonia. Trimtex does almost everything by ourselves, except from sewing, where we use 2 or 3 local Estonian subcontractors to help us to do that. So we focus on the technical thing, the technical production, and get help for the sewing. The local production in the Baltics give us a short way to the market, with only a day or two in transport to the biggest market in Norway, Sweden, and Finland. Myself is not from the family. I'm one of 3 persons in the management group that is not from the Augland family. But I've been in Trimtex for 13 years, so I'm starting to get some experience about the Trimtex brand. When I started 13 years ago, we had a turnover at approximately 4 million euros. And last year, we had 16 million euros. We have increased the turnover and we have a growth focus in our company. It was based on a strategy to be a bigger player in the market because we was too small to survive. We had to be bigger. But we have kept the original business idea, which is custom design. And the reason why Trimtex began was that our first generation Augland, Mr. Harald, he was running into the woods and in orienteering and didn't find the clothing. It was so boring. It said only one color. It was no design. So then he got the idea. Okay, let's make this custom design to brighten up the sport. And as technology has evolved the last 13, 14 years, we have used sublimation printing, and that gives us endless possibility within the design, as you can see on some of the photos here. Our focus are the individual endurance sports. It's like triathlon, orienteering, cycling, athletics, and cross-country skiing. It's high focus sports. You have to do your best all the time. In orienteering and triathlon, Trimtex is actually one of the world's biggest brand with customers all over the world. You have customers in New Zealand, in Japan, in the US, in Brazil, and all over Europe. Our other sports are more tensed with competitors. They have higher marketing budgets, so our position there is smaller, but we have so the focus is mainly in the Nordics, but we have a big presence there. Also, the business market is important for us. We have big brands like Scania, Nordea, Telia, and also the Swedish Army. When they are competing in relays, in events, and they need quality clothes, then they compete in Trimtex clothes. Our niche of business has a room for a smaller brand. We can go in and compete with Adidas and Nike and Puma because our niche is so small. And our legacy and history in orienteering has given us skills to know how to make profit on a small scale. A normal scale for us is not 5,000 or 6,000, which a small scale is for Nike. A small series for us is 10 or 20 pieces of each product. Not for each size, but combined in all sizes for the customers. And all made to order and a delivery time of 4 to 6 weeks to the market. When ordering something in Asia, we had to wait 6 months to get it. So it's very important to have that close relation to the market and a close way to Pärnu. So what we give to the customers is their unique design. To make that work, we have 20 designers in Pärnu. They design products to the request of our customers and in dialogue with them. If you're talking to Nordea, then they have a clear idea how that design should be. But if you're working to a smaller team, then it's a brainstorming. It's a lot of ideas and the limits. There are almost no limits here. And to make this work, we use this process where all the base products are the same. It's a white product. And then it's not like the old way we are having, you go to the shop and buy a red or a blue or a yellow shirt and press a transfer print on it. No, we press all the transfer and all the colors within the material. So it feel like a part of the fabric. So it's so much better to work with and to compete in. Some of you might remember around 20 years ago, HP had these printers where you have a big campaign and then you can print your picture on a piece of paper and then iron it onto your shirt. Actually, our process is more or less the same, but it's a bit bigger scale and a bit bigger quality. Our printers is 1.6 meters wide. So, okay, we have a bigger, but the idea is almost the same. And so to say, we use a lot of ink. Our business process and business model has been directly to consumers, and that has been since 1976. We do not use shops. Our own sales representatives have direct contact with the customers. They sort out the design and the order directly. In 1976, it was mainly used with a telephone. But the future, we use digital means, which is email, Teams meetings, and so on. A big headache for many teams is taking up the order. Okay, how many sizes? What did you want? What did the other one want? And so on. To make this process easier for the customer, we make individual team shops for our customers. Like a club can go in, find their own products, their own design. They make the orders, they pay for it, and after 4 to 6 weeks, they get a box in the mail, and then they can collect their goods. This is something we have done in more than 10 years, and it's a very big help for our customers. And finally, in Pärnu, we also have our product development team. Every year, they develop, let's say, 30 to 60 new base model and update products to make them up to date and be in the top league. And also we use, in some cases, to make the high level products, we use a scientific approach. We use help from the Norwegian technical schools and the Estonian Tartu University, and also our customers and ambassadors. Next, please. But at some point, we realized that to continue the growth and to be an important player in the future markets, we need to update our systems. And we know that for some times, but the struggle to change is so big. And what should we change to? We want the ERP system to be the basis for our business and the basis for other systems. Why? Because here is what the information is first. In around 2014-15, we did start searching for a new ERP system. We had a big e-commerce project at the time, but we didn't find a good solution to do it, and we integrated it with our old legacy system, and it is more or less a nightmare. And also the reporting is both time-consuming and also not existing. The needs was urgent, but there was not a clear alternative for us that we were aware of. So we continued our struggle with our spreadsheet and our legacy system and started to discuss our needs with some consultants and people from the schools, which help us to investigate the market. We'll use a lot of time looking into innovation, which is not very surprisingly, because it's a big product. It's a lot of Danish suppliers that gives third-party software to it and so on, but it never feels completely right. And the reason was that the more we discussed, the smaller the vision part of it was, and the bigger the third-party software. So I feel it was only third-party software which we didn't know the roadmap to, and it was it was uncertain. So in 2018, NetSuite was introduced to us, and it was, how to say, with a system, it was low at first sight. It was a good match with our needs, and also it supplied with more than we expected. It was a so much better intercompany support, and also it support manufacturing, variant, which is important in textile, and also the international focus. And all within a reasonable price range. So, but what was the problem? Yes, NetSuite was new to the Norwegian market. It was a good footprint in Finland, but at the time, it was only a few customers in Norway. So to go for this solution, it was a step of faith. But to be sure of this, that we didn't go into the blind, but had an idea, was that we did two things. We started having a very, very good conversation with Staria. And secondly, we went to Street World in Las Vegas, not to make money on the slot machines, but to learn about the system, to see the environment, to see everything around it, to see what's working. And then we understand that the system is working, and with the localization apps, which was provided by Staria, we understand that, okay, this works for us. We can start going onto this journey. And our project is still not finished. We started 2 years ago, and it has taken so much longer time than expected. But still, we are now getting close to the goal and expect to finish our first stage in 4 or 5 months. Why does it take so long? Yeah, because there are so many stakeholders. Change is difficult. And also we solve one problem and then we get excited and then we try to solve them more and solve them more. And everything while business is running. We started using with the finance module 2 years ago, but the automation of the order process has been painful. And it's no doubt we have learned a lot about NetSuite, but also on our own business. Going on to our next slide, NetSuite is only the first of many steps in the digital transformation of our process for the next years. This is only the foundation. Something we will develop within NetSuite, something we will develop outside of NetSuite and combine them and using the integration to make it work. So we want the customers to get a better customer experience. Some people want to help themselves. They want to make a reorder. They have to make orders. They make the approvals by themselves. So we want to do that and give the customers the opportunity to do what's convenient for them. And might be in the future that sometimes you can go into our webpage, design your own clothing, press play, press enter and confirm, pay the bill, and then after 4 to 6 weeks, you get a package in the mail without even touching of people. That's one of our future goals. I have a mantra, and that is what a computer can do, the computer can do. And what do I mean by that? Yeah, I have a lot of employees which are very skilled people. I don't want them to do boring, repetitive tasks when a computer can do them. So I want to free the employees from the repeating task and give them challenging task instead, which it's so much more difficult for a computer to do. Let's round up with Christian again. This is a picture, I think it's when I get the world record. And Christian is aiming for a goal. All our ambassadors are aiming for a goal. It might be a victory in the Olympics. It might be a victory in the World Championship. But the victory in that one competition is not the final goal. You win the competition, you celebrate, and then you look into the next goal. So winning the Olympics, if he does, or winning the Ironman is only one small step in a big career. And that's the same as our digital transformation. It is a lot of small milestones in a process that never ends. So we are never finished. The future companies needs to be agile to meet the future needs and the future competition. And we want to be a company that are agile and that survives for the future. Then I think we have time for some questions.
All right. Thank you very much, Asbjørn. It was really inspiring to hear about your growth story. And as you mentioned, we have received quite a lot of questions from the audience, and I would have a couple of them for you as well. So let's take our first question. What is the biggest difference between your old system and NetSuite?
The biggest difference is more or less everything. Because our legacy system is 20, 30 years old. It's on-premise. It's a small system for only one company, not intercompany. Everything. It's not master data management. It's so old-fashioned, so to say. And it's also reaching the end of life date. And making integrations here is not using APIs. It's using third-party software which is installed on our software and computers and so on. NetSuite is so much modern. Even though NetSuite has existed for more than 20 years, it was born in the cloud. It has been it's a real cloud solution with multi-tenancy and giving all that kind of benefits. It's so much easier to connect and to make integration to that. So some of the integration we are making now to our e-commerce system we could not even think about to doing that 5 years ago. It was not even on the table. So going into this modern time of system, I don't have to think if the SQL server working, has someone destroyed our fiber cable. I don't have to think about it because it's work. If my fiber cable is done, I just start my telephone and I log on. So it's so much more flexible to use. And also the development which is happening 2 times a year is giving us so much new functionality that we are looking into. So it's a software which never sleeps. And for our legacy system, it has been this process with yearly updates, but then you have to update all third-party systems. You have to check. So you have for every update, you have a 2 or 3 days downtime because we have to make everything work again. So we don't do that. So we haven't updated our legacy system within 5 years. We don't dare to do it. So we are going into this modern world, and there is a bit part of the old system which is better than NetSuite, and that's okay because the small Norwegian systems are extremely good in banking, but I cannot say 5 minutes there and lose 3 days afterwards. So NetSuite is not perfect, but it's improving so much every year.
All right. Thank you very much for that. And then I have one final question for you as well. So how has your daily working life changed after switching to NetSuite?
Our life is having improved, so to say, because if I don't have to wait on my colleagues to approve some invoices because they are traveling and they have to get home and get this into the office and then turn on the on-prem systems to check their bills. They can do it on the fly. They can do it on the airport. They can do it in the car. It's all available, even in this cloud system. So, and also this stressful days it has been before with making sure that the servers are connected, that the fiber LANs are connected, that all this on-prem system is working. All that is gone. So the focus is so much easier. So and we are also very happy with the connection with the APIs, with Celigo, with these kind of things that make everything work together. And I didn't mention it, but we added also the CRM functions on NetSuite within our project. And before there were 2 standalone systems. So if I updated one telephone number in my CRM system, it was not updated in the ERP system. And to make that integration work, it was actually not even feasible. So everything is in one system. If you update an email address, it will be correct. It's one time, one place to fix it. The master data management is solved.
All right. Thank you very much. And yes, great that we have you here on this event. And I wish you a really good day in Norway as well. So
thank you.
Next up, we have Terhi Kilpeläinen telling about Staria's global accounting services. So I ask Terhi to join me on the stage, please.
Thanks, Mira. It's great to see you, all of you, online. My topic for this event is next generation global accounting. And now we will have effective 10 minutes together, and you have chat window there. So feel free to ask any question if you have. So my name is Terhi Kilpeläinen, and I'm a part of our global accounting service team. I have long experience in different kind of financial and ICT roles from different sizes and rapidly growing international companies. I have faced these very same finance process challenges in my past work experience. Staria's global accounting service is a solution for growth companies and companies with international ambitions. Our global accounting services were established in 2015. And currently, our services are available in over 35 countries. You can see the current countries marked with purple, and some of the new countries we are working on are marked with green. If financial figures come from different countries and from different systems, combining the figures is often manual and time-consuming process. In our operating model, financial services of entire international group are managed by one service team. Services are enabled by NetSuite business platform. Customer has real-time visibility into financial figures at transaction level and can drill down to document level as well. Elimination of intergroup items is automated and consolidation is easy. NetSuite system operates in multi-currency environment covering over 200 countries. NetSuite system also enables automatically updated exchange rates, and group figures are available in both local and group currencies in real time. It's possible to streamline reporting with consistent group reporting, which provides proven time savings. In many cases, working in international group also requires coordination with accounting partners in different countries. Subsidiaries accounting is often outsourced to local accounting companies. So it takes quite a lot of time and resources to guide and train accounting partners for your business. Managing and controlling multiple accounting partners also requires huge workload. Staria's financial team provides accounting services to all customers' countries, and Staria's partner network helps to meet local requirements. Through Staria's partner network, we have got wide experience and understanding of how to build global financial services consistently. Our service team ensure that all subsidiaries are handled in consistent manner and in accordance with group's reporting principles. Being active globally and in multiple countries has also given us understanding of what accounting entries can or cannot be made on country basis. AI and robotic process automation are the words on everyone's lips these days. But how easy it's to utilize them in your own business? Highly scalable processes are the grounds of growing an international company and enable business growth. Staria service teams are constantly building new scalable processes to make sure our customers' lives easier. Internationally growing company is always looking for new markets and new countries. Staria's partner network also offers consulting and support to our customers, including choosing a company and business model, tax planning, concluding employment contracts, and defining employee benefits. Our proven best practices and deployment model make it easier and faster for your customer to conquer new countries. In Staria's global service model, customer has own named service team, which focus on customers' financial matters. We handle everything from bookkeeping in all countries to partner network management. Service agreement will be done with Staria, so there is no need for coordination with multiple partners. Finding the right local accounting company is a time-consuming process, and it's very important to know how to choose reliable and competent partner. Staria's partner selection criteria are precisely defined, and the partner must have different experts in their own organization to support our customers' business. Our partners provide payroll and HR-related services to ensure tax compliance and reporting to authorities. We will find out country-specific requirements to you and make sure that you have always the latest information available. We expand our partner network based on customers' needs. Staria's whole service network is available to all our customers. Our service team communicates actively with customer and partner network to ensure the fulfillment of country-specific needs. Staria is always responsible for all services. We have dedicated customer care experts and customer care model. We also do auditing for our services regularly. I'm happy to help and continue discussion with you.
All right. Thank you very much, Terhi. It was really inspiring to hear about Staria's global accounting services. We do have a quite tight schedule, but let's take a couple of questions because we have received a lot of them. So my first question to you is, what is the most common country that the customers have?
It's Sweden and Germany.
Okay, thank you. So the second question is, what has proven to be the most difficult countries to find a partner for?
It was Israel.
Okay. Okay. Then the final question, does the system support IFRS reporting?
Yes, it does. So NetSuite allows multiple shadow accounts in the system. Mm-hmm. So IFRS reporting is easy. And we have also Staria own department for this. And our expertise help our customers to survive and handle with IFRS reporting.
All right. Thank you very much, Terhi.
Thanks.
So now Dennis Laakso will tell about NetSuite SuiteApps we have developed and other supporting systems as well. So Dennis, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mira, and good morning to all. My name is Dennis Laakso, and today I will shortly tell you about SuiteApps and supporting systems that we provide at Staria. We have a dedicated team at Staria focusing on developing SuiteApps and finding the right support systems to get even more out of your NetSuite environment. We have published 8 NetSuite localizations and Inflow SuiteApp for vendor bill management. Really, our crown jewel in SuiteApp development is Inflow for inbound invoicing. And Staria Inflow automates vendor bill posting and provides an easily configurable approval for process for purchase transactions in NetSuite. With Inflow, you can automate the process in different phases, and it offers improvements to the entire process when handling incoming invoices. Firstly, we have a direct link between the invoicing operator and NetSuite that enables you to outsource the receiving of invoices in any given format. An example might be a PDF attached to an email or any given XML format. Once the invoice is available in NetSuite, we can match purchase order numbers or item receipts against the invoice. And if that's not found, we can set an alternative process in motion. As mentioned, we can then set different flows in motion utilizing the approval matrix lists that we create beforehand. This enables you to have a flow to handle the invoices before we involve approvers. Our inflow portal that's designed for handling pending approval transactions does not require any additional NetSuite licenses and gives a user-friendly UI with mass approving, for example, and also one centralized view to use. The approval matrix is, of course, key to achieve a good flow for the invoice and adding the right people when it's needed. The definitions are flexible. Approver may be based on the purchase requester, a person that has been assigned a specific vendor, or it might be a role-based, just to mention a few. And here I just want to quickly show you one scenario of how it could work. So the first step might be that we get the data into the system. After that, we have matching against a PO. But if not, the PO is not found, we can then set a different path in motion. And we can, for example, enable Inflow to create the vendor and post it for you. So, as mentioned, that was really briefly about Inflow. Brings a lot of benefits, and I want to turn your attentions to our localization SuiteApps that we have. And we developed localization SuiteApps for the Baltic countries, the Nordics, as well for Poland. And with these localizations, you will have a base in NetSuite so that you can establish NetSuite in that specific country. And after that, you can do the personalization and really get live more quicker, essentially. Also, we have other supporting systems that we provide. And just to mention one is Staria Banking. With Staria Banking, you can automate material transfer from and to the bank. We can offer direct connections to a variety of banks and enable you to cut manual processing, including bank reconciliation in NetSuite. And Staria Banking is a really cybersecure solution, and it also enables you to have none or up to 2 steps of approving, and that may, of course, be according to the payment types. So, thank you on my behalf. That was briefly about our SuiteApps and supporting system offering. And if this finds you interesting and you want to discuss it more, I'm available. I can arrange a demo and so forth. So I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dennis. So it was really great to hear more about the SuiteApps and other supporting systems. I know that we are a bit running out of time, so I will have one question for you. Yeah. What kind of credentials do you need when logging into Inflow?
Well, usually you use the info credentials or the NetSuite credentials, that you utilize on a daily basis. But if you need other individuals also into the systems, you can invite them to the Inflow portal, and then you don't need additional licenses for that one, NetSuite licenses.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, thank you for both. And now it's time for our second keynote from Oracle NetSuite. So we have Richard Cutler, who is a Suite Success Lead in EMEA, telling about unlocking growth. So we have the pleasure to conduct now in UK. James, the floor is yours.
Hi, good morning. So, welcome to my home here, just outside of London in the UK. If I've still got a smile on my face, it's actually because of Asborn's quote in the Trimtex session. Hearing a CFO say we went to Las Vegas not to make money on the slot machines, I found quite amusing. So, wonderful session from Trimtex. So, I hope you are all enjoying the online format here. It's always a privilege to get a chance to present to our international audiences, this time obviously online. So as said, I have an interesting position here at NetSuite because I effectively cover two roles. So one of my roles looks after our primary go-to-market strategy, Suite Success, an approach we've seen phenomenal growth with over the last fiscal year of around about 200%. My other role, as you can probably see on the screen, oversees our private capital efforts in EMEA. So my team look after relationships with some of the most European invested funds, helping embed NetSuite as a core component of their investment return strategy. Now, the interesting thing about those two roles is combined, they give me a fantastic insight in terms of what's going on in the market at any one time. So I get the sales coalface, where I get to talk with both prospects and customers about how they're reacting to the solutions we provide. Plus, I get the benefit of market strategy and where we see likely future investments happening through the engagement with the private equity partners. Now, I'm prepared to bet that a few of you have noticed that a few things have changed recently. So since particularly we originally planned to run this event in person, firstly, I've managed to recover from a torn muscle, which again is probably a good thing because I didn't really fancy limping across the stage in Finland. That's something I was a bit nervous about. The other thing we've seen is the emergence of some new trends. So I wanted to start out this session on unlocking growth, just sharing some of the observations we've seen and some of the observations we've retrieved from both customer engagements, but also from that investment community I mentioned. So first off, we've seen a lot of customers using the enforced downtime productively. So making changes where they knew they needed to be made, but they never had the time or the resources to do it. So resources have been freed up, and in many cases, that's accelerating their technology adoption. That links nicely into observation number 2, because the next thing we're seeing is that changes are happening much, much quicker. So in conversation with one of our larger equity funds in EMEA, they said the projects that previously would have taken them months in planning and execution, they're now executing in days. So they realize they won't be perfect, but the benefits of doing something far outweighs the downside. And once they've made the change, they make similar rapid adjustments as the capability starts to bed in. Key here is the concept of something called consumable change. By that, they mean they don't do too much too soon. They do what is absolutely necessary and no more. And that's also created an even bigger push towards cloud-based capability because it gives them another layer of flexibility in that journey. Another consequence of this is actually reflected in the ask we get from prospective users of NetSuite. So the go-live timelines are becoming shorter and they're becoming much more aggressive. And it's also becoming a much higher priority in the selection process when looking at either a new ERP platform or adding to the existing one. The third observation is something I'm calling provoked opportunity. So there are examples of businesses that are thriving in the current climate, but there are also some other less directly obvious aspects that we witnessed. An example of this is better access to resource pools. So one company we spoke to said they used to recruit exclusively close to London. They now have access to a considerably larger but more diverse and frequently cheaper resource pool that could be located pretty much anywhere in the world so long as they have internet capability. Again, the quote on what's the difference NetSuite's made in Trimtex world is that flexibility of being anywhere as long as you've got that internet capability. There's also a shift, or a huge shift, if you like, in terms of what's required from the adaptation of that business, but also of the supporting partners and infrastructure behind that. Look at that resource example. They need to be supported in a different way. So let's take that through the lens of the investment companies. What are they doing? Can I have the next slide, please? First and foremost, they're reviewing and reinforcing business practices within their portfolio companies. So to make their investments more survivable. I guess it's common sense, but frequently it's something that gets overlooked. So this regular reassessment of commonly accepted practices and the motivation to address aspects of the business that no longer work. This obviously requires an adaptable mindset and not a this is always how we've done it type approach. The second thing the funds are doing is they're securing funding for emergencies and protecting the cash that's already in the business by getting deeper insights in terms of how it's moving in and out of the business or even within the business. It's actually quite scary how few organizations actually have this visibility. We see it quite frequently in the dialogues that we have with our customer organizations. The key thing here is it used to be the phrase cash is king. Frankly, it's not cash is king anymore. It's cash is the whole royal family. And again, having that visibility is becoming much more critical. To emphasize, I came across a research report recently that said that something like 40% of UK businesses have just enough money to get to the end of the 2020 period, something that's believed to be replicated across a number of different geographies. The last point here is there has been a shift in terms of where the investment money is going. So it's more towards mature, proven operations and away from the pure startup type space. That's not to say that investment stopped, it's just more cautious. But on the whole, what we're hearing is the investment companies haven't sat back. They've prepared to continue their core objective, which is ultimately growing their investments. And that all ties into the message of this keynote, which is all about unlocking growth. So next slide, please. So probably the most enjoyable part of my multiple roles is the chance to be part of some exciting customer stories, and Plenish is a really good example of that. So as you can probably tell from the image, Plenish make a range of drinks and have been a NetSuite user for a few years now. And during a conversation with their chief operating officer, he shared some insights into the reasons for investing in an ERP system. So in Plenish's case, it was their first ERP. They had some aggressive growth plans. And the big thing for them wasn't just about buying the cheapest system or getting it running quickly. It was about getting the quality and depth of automation and insight that now lives inside their NetSuite system. And it's this capability that's allowed them to grow at the pace they need to. In their own words, their old system would never have allowed that pace, mainly because the data lived previously in multiple locations. Interestingly, Reese, the COO, also described one of the big benefits of visibility, and it's kind of captured in the quote on the screen. A challenge relevant in a lot of industries, it's all about innovation. Again, go back to the Trimtex example of the HP screen print side of things. You know, some of the innovation ideas about customized clothing. In their world at Plenish, they needed to be able to work out what the customer wants, come up with a solution, and all before the customer even realized they want it. So they're trying to innovate ahead of the game, but then bring those innovations to the market in financially viable ways. And again, they can only do that if they have that insight. Candidly, the Plenish board needed some convincing to invest earlier than they thought they needed to, but the results justified the move with the description of their ERP as an absolute game changer in comparison to the multiple finance systems, multiple databases, and multiple spreadsheets that they were using previously. Stories like Plenish provide some really good evidence that getting the right systems in place can provide a huge advantage. Can I have the next slide, please? So again, the Trimtex story actually, this is kind of a link here actually, because the slide was entitled More Ready to Compete, but just hearing Ashbourne's description, again, I think it was something like 5 times increase in 10 years. Again, becoming more efficient, becoming more customer friendly. And I picked up a quote on Trimtex because I tend to follow the triathlon markets quite a bit, so I've come across the brand a few times. Making customers look good, but again, not at the expense of viability. But ultimately, this whole approach is about being more able to compete and disrupt in typically competitive marketplaces. Can I have the next slide, please? So over the next 10 minutes, I'm going to lean on some research Oracle NetSuite commissioned from the raconteur entitled Unlocking Growth. The report itself interviewed, I think it was over 1,000 senior business leaders across EMEA, so different industries and companies ranging from 5 million euro turnover up to 2 million euro turnover plus. And it was looking at what was driving and what was inhibiting the growth of these organizations. Now, I'm not going to cover the whole report. We can share the ability to download it after this session at your convenience. What I am going to do is to pull on some key themes that surfaced in the report, mainly related to the use of data to help make the right investment decisions. So what did the research tell us? Well, one of the first themes that stands out is that the type of growth being pursued by the surveyed companies varies and roughly equates to the size and maturity of the business being interviewed. Have the next slide, please. So for small companies, so when we're talking at the lower end of the revenue spectrum, expansion or growth efforts tended to be focused on entering new markets, working on the principle that there is always more companies that you're able to sell to. As the size of the company grows to shift the focus more towards medium size, they're more focused on generating more from existing customers. So again, the concept now is it's easier to sell to an existing company than it is to nurture a net new one. And one of the consequences when you get bigger is this tends to place much bigger demands on things like customer management and customer satisfaction. And again, it plays into the old phrase of good news travels fast and bad news travels faster, particularly in a social media world. Can I have the next slide, please? Now, when we get to larger companies, guess what? They want the best of both worlds. So bigger companies tend to want to be able to invest in existing customers, but they also want to open net new markets. And one of the big differences now between the small and medium-sized companies was the economies of scale, or put another way, bigger companies tend to be more efficient, so they can sell less and make more profit. This is frequently represented as a shift towards bottom line growth. And interestingly, the report called out that of the organizations forecasting greater than 10% growth, most expected higher earnings growth versus revenue growth. Again, indicating expected efficiency gains as the organization got larger. Next slide, please. One of the big areas focused upon in the research was the role played by data. In terms of managing growth and supporting associated decision processes, being able to serve up the right information in the right format is critical. Understanding where the business is efficient, where it isn't efficient. And again, serving the right data can also help you avoid and identify things like the butterfly effect. So originally used to describe the impact on weather systems of a butterfly flapping its wings on the other side of the world, in this context, it talks to the impact of small changes being magnified and having catastrophic impact on the business operations. I'm sure you're familiar, there are quite a few well-documented cases of this problem when using Excel spreadsheets to run a business. I think the estimate is 1 in every 100 sales has an error in it. And again, that can be amplified by this butterfly effect. Unfortunately, unless used properly, it can lead to something called data overload. So as you can see, a large majority of the respondees in the research said they occasionally feel overwhelmed by the amount of data available. Like me, I suspect many of you on this call have had one or many occasions when you've stared blankly at a row of numbers, trying to make some sense of them. The answer may have been quite simple, but it was very well hidden in the noise of the other data that was then presented. And this is obviously something that needs to be avoided. So often as a direct consequence of having too much data fragmented across multiple sources and multiple applications, also known as the data's all over the place. Next slide, please. Data applied correctly, however, and the results really do start to speak for themselves. So of the audience surveyed, more than 50% of those that say they are classed as data-driven are exceeding their growth targets. Conversely, 50% of those failing to meet growth targets refer to themselves as business data unaware. Another interesting point pulled out by the report is that the preponderance to being data-driven also varied by the region of the respondees or the target companies. Germany came out as number one as a data-driven region, and possibly surprisingly, particularly to me and this audience, the UK and the Nordics were classed as lagging behind in equal last place. The importance here, again, is the link between good and accessible data and the ultimate performance of the overall business. So, as shown, growth can come in many formats and change over time as the business grows and matures and their focus adjusts. And this can frequently take the business by surprise. So it'd be new products, it'd be new markets, new countries, we've talked about that a couple of times already, or even just fundamental new models. Next slide, please. The key here is all of this demands a level of agility. And again, I've heard that word a few times already in today's sessions. But that agility within the internal systems that allows you not just to identify and run efficiently, but also pivot without constraint. I used to rock climb. I hasten to add, this isn't me on this picture. You can just tell that this guy is way better than I ever was. I hasten to add, I also said I used to rock climb. I don't still do it. However, the last thing you want to do when heading up a climb is to take a set of gear that's unprepared for the terrain. So an example, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out that if you're on a 50-meter high climb with a 30-meter rope, there's a chance you're taking a bit of a risk in getting to the top of that climb. Unfortunately, that happens too frequently with system selection, with the implementation of a system that's ultimately unfit for the terrain, likely into the future. And that's the problem. It might not look obvious today. This is actually a big theme with our private capital partners and something they try and spend time avoiding. The last thing that they want to do is to have to tell a prospective buyer that the business is sound, but the first thing you need to do is replace the system it runs on. That tends to have a big impact on things like valuations or even the ability to sell that business in the first place. Another trend we're witnessing in quite a few customer scenarios that also directly impacts growth and that requires agility is the hybrid business. So what do I mean by that? Well, consider a traditional manufacturer that opens a service operation or manufacturing as a service even. So used to handling maybe even complex supply chains, but not so used to handling service call-outs and the different requirements and reporting that introduces. Or maybe a software company that needs to consider the logistics of a complementary hardware product. I remember one example actually not too long ago where a colleague of mine was working on a fitness tracking business, and they also sold a tracking device to capture the data that fed into their application. So here we're introducing a number of facets that the software company normally wouldn't have to deal with, and vice versa. So the complexity of billing models, oversight on supply chain and lead times for the hardware product. Key as well, though, is that on top of that agility, you still need consistent control, something that James spoke about in the opening keynote. So more frequently than not, it is the consistent control that allows you to pivot quickly with confidence, and that confidence can have a hugely positive impact on the business outcomes. Next slide, please. The next step in that agility thing then becomes a longevity one. So we have the systems, but can they survive the test of all these changes, or more correctly, the test of growth? You'll rarely find a CFO, and I probably should have asked this as a question earlier, who has invested and implemented a system, but they're already planning to replace it. Fast growth businesses, however, do have a habit of burning things out really quickly. Again, I remember one customer engagement who came to us to discuss replacing a system they didn't even get around to completing the implementation of because they'd simply outgrown it, literally in a matter of weeks. You might ask, why didn't they know? I'm going to come back to that question later on, just to wrap up. Possibly one of the greatest benefits of NetSuite we don't talk about enough is the platform, as this is what enables future-proofing in our world. So in terms of future-proofing, we're talking about things like scaling. So starting with small number of users, but being able to grow really big. NetSuite is a good example of that because we've gone from 3 or 4 users to thousands of users now using our current system. A system that adapts. So again, we talk about hybrid models. A system that integrates. And again, I'm quite pleased to have heard about this one earlier as well, because many people underestimate how important it is to interact with other systems, particularly as you get bigger. And all of this whilst giving you confidence to stick to that initial mission without the constraint of the system you're running on. Quick story on agility. A few months back, I received a call from one of our sales teams with an interesting problem. During the implementation of NetSuite, so the customer had already selected NetSuite, the business acquired another operation. So they acquired another business. It took quite a few people by surprise, and it almost doubled the size of their user base overnight. In the old world of software, this may have stopped a few hearts. In this case, it was a pretty straightforward adjustment in the license coverage, add a new country, align the business practices, and we managed to integrate that business into the core implementation pretty efficiently. I do trivialize there a little, but I think you can see the message behind it, particularly in this new cloud world. Lastly, I couldn't leave a NetSuite presentation without this one, which is, can you operate profitably when you start operating outside of your domestic market? Maybe even on the other side of the world, managing international supply chains, or maybe just the financial regulations imposed by international markets. For a lot of growing businesses, this becomes a real challenge. It's something, again, the private capital world specializes in. Entering new markets can come with a large element of risk and frequently experimentation. An intimate understanding of what is going on in real time can really help you avoid long-term damage and allow reinvestment in the right areas, or maybe a quick exit when you find the wrong ones. Next slide, please. So just wrap up here with a couple of slides. So NetSuite's been around for a while now. Dealing with these growth and data usage problems has always been part of what we would class our DNA, and something NetSuite founder Evan Goldberg was always making sure that we could bring that large-scale ERP capability to the masses and not have it locked away in mega corporations. The great news is we've learned a lot along that journey in terms of customer behaviors and requirements. Again, the platform here is genuinely probably the most powerful thing. Because it's multi-tenanted, we can gain deep insights into what functionality gives the greatest returns, what do users use the most, what screens, what reports, what searches. Insights you just cannot aggregate when you have many different old school on-premise systems. And these insights can be used proactively to target all of the growth requirements described. So the ability to build pre-configured roles, key performance indicators and dashboards so you can deliver proven, robust experience directly through the product itself without overwhelming your users with data. The ability to recommend the right mix of functionality to generate the greatest return, helping avoid tying cash up in unnecessary capability or even lengthy deployments. And the confidence to grow your business, maybe even with a roadmap to grow it, again, without worrying about outgrowing the investment you've made. And helping your users to correctly manage the data to avoid overload, helping them look at the important stuff and not just the noise. The platform also helps us develop the solution that works for our customers, again, by looking at how customers use it or don't use it in the case of redundant capability. Next slide, please. This whole concept of learning from how our customers use NetSuite is actually where the Suite Success proposition originated from. So bringing all that experience together so clients get faster return on their investment. They develop things at the right pace. So again, protecting capital. They're doing it at the lowest risk. Again, something called out in the Unlocking Growth research. Risk was a big, highly focused point from the people interviewed, but also survives that test of growth. Critically, this isn't just about customers new to NetSuite as well. It's also about customers that are already using NetSuite, who want to enhance their capability by leveraging pre-built knowledge on top of what they're already using. At the end of the day, though, solutions can only truly be relevant to growth if they relate to the business aspirations and can grow and adapt with them. Customers don't tend to buy just products, they buy outcomes. And that's what we've designed NetSuite and Suite Success to do. And on that point, I said I would come back to the why didn't they know in my example of a company who bought a system that was right for them when they purchased it, but outgrew it in a matter of weeks. Have the next slide, please. I'm going to use a final quote here from Plenish, from their CEO. He said, "You are only as good as the questions you ask." In this case, the questions being asked were driven by short-term vision from an inexperienced team just looking to buy the cheapest option, not deeper consideration of the trajectory of their business. So in this case, unfortunately, they fundamentally underestimated the success of the proposition they brought to market, and it then caused them some delays and interrupted their future growth plans in this new system implementation approach. So can I have the final slide, please? So I really appreciate the opportunity from Staria, so I'll thank you to you. Thank you to the audience for listening. I'm more than happy to take questions in the few remaining minutes we have here, or as James said earlier, any follow-up questions as a consequence.
All right, so thank you very much, Richard, and greetings from here, from Finland. We have received quite a few questions as well. So you mentioned about report. One of our audience has asked if you could share the link to the report as well.
Yes, what we'll do is actually we're gonna post that through your Staria representatives. So we'll make sure you get a link to that after this session, so you can read it yourselves. There's a lot more content in there than we're able to cover in this session, but yes, we can do that.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. Then we have a question. What is the one thing about NetSuite which unlocks growth in a best way?
Cool. So I've touched on a few topics, actually. Probably the big thing, though, again, we come back to consider your plan, but be prepared to adjust your plan, is my quote I use quite a lot with growth, because you'll rarely find a direct path to growth unless you're exceptionally lucky. So one of the big things behind NetSuite is its flexibility. Genuinely, that platform makes a huge difference to everything we do. It's what allowed us to come up with this market proposition called Suite Success in the first place. We couldn't have done that without the flexibility of the platform. So it's genuinely that cloud experience. As Asborn mentioned earlier, actually, we have been around 20 years. We've been doing this for the longest. We've learned a few lessons along the way.
All right, thank you very much. Still a couple of questions as well. So for a company considering NetSuite, what would you say to convince them?
What would I say to convince them?
Yes.
So, and again, the proof is in the activity, actually. It's usually not me that convinces customers. It's usually speaking to other customers like Asborn, to be fair.
Yeah.
Go and talk to people that have used it. Go and see what they say about it. You know, we can take you on the journey. We can provide you all the information, the roadmap, the product, etc. But if you get a chance, go and speak to someone that's had the experience we heard earlier from Trimtex, because, or Plenish, another example, and a couple of the examples I didn't name personally, but we've got an enviable number of organizations that have been using our platform to massive success in growth terms. You only have to look at the IPOs that are launched on NetSuite. Again, organizations don't tend to have successful IPOs if they've not got the right infrastructure in place.
All right, nice. Then the final question for you today. What is the biggest benefit of NetSuite for a growth company, in your opinion?
Again, I'll come back to that. Actually, it's in the growth. It's the ability to actually grow, pivot, and adjust as the business grows, pivots, and adjusts. It can scale quickly. It can scale slowly if you want it to. You can benefit from all of the periphery activity. We've heard about SuiteApps from Dennis earlier today. It can take you in many, many different directions. You know, don't get me wrong, it can't do everything, but it does certainly have the most experience of helping organizations that have aggressive growth plans, particularly if they are going international. If there's one thing from a functionality point of view that makes NetSuite stand out, it's the whole concept of something we call One World. And again, in the private capital world, when you take their advice, one of the first things they'll try and do is launch a business in a new country to exploit new markets.
All right, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to have you with this event with us as well. And I believe I speak for all Starians that we are really great to have you here. And I wish you a lovely day in the UK.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Goodbye.
Take care.
So we have received a lot of questions from the audience for all of our speakers today, and unfortunately we don't have the time to go through all of them today, but we will get back to all of your questions with the answers within the materials that we will send to you after this event. So now we warmly thank you all our speakers for the inspiring keynotes, and of course everyone who attended our NetSuite Day. We hope you enjoyed the event and gain a lot of new information, of course. So, as I mentioned, we will send the materials and the recording link to everyone who registered to the event. So now I thank you again for joining us, and I wish you all a lovely day.